We now have confirmation that Assassin's Creed Mirage will be landing on consoles, PC, and streaming, but only to Amazon Luna and not Google Stadia. Let's talk about it. After all the confusion from the Ubisoft Forward event, with Stadia being in some listings on Ubisoft websites and not on others, it looks like we now have official word, and it's coming from Axios.com. This is all coming from Stephen Totilo, who covers video games for Axios and is well regarded within the video game industry. The website states that next year's Mirage will be coming to consoles, PC, and streaming, but only to Amazon Luna in terms of cloud services. Ubisoft confirms, despite some apparent listings of a release for Google Stadia. This is about as clear-cut as it gets, and based on the wording, I know some people are starting to question whether or not GeForce Now will even see a release. I'll be talking about that as well in this video, but just a bit later. For now, I want to stick to Stadia. The reality is that this sucks. Yes, Assassin's Creed Mirage is notably a smaller game in terms of scale than other Assassin's Creed games. Ubisoft themselves have confirmed this, and that's why it's priced at a lower price than your traditional $60 to $70 game. But as somebody who likes Assassin's Creed, that doesn't really lessen the blow. I'm extremely hyped for Mirage, especially since they've also said it's an homage to the first Assassin's Creed titles. It's something that I and many other Assassin's Creed fans have missed. But besides us Assassin's Creed fans, it also sucks for everyone else who really likes Ubisoft titles. I mean, up until now, most people just assumed that whatever would get announced from Ubisoft was confirmed coming to Stadia. This now throws a wrench into that confidence. I mean, sure, most games will probably still find their way over to Stadia from Ubisoft. After all, they did announce 3 other titles are still coming to Stadia at the very same event. But Assassin's Creed is one of the 3 big pillars at Ubisoft, and it may very well be the biggest. It stands right next to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege and Far Cry. And that fact makes its absence on Stadia all that much weirder, especially when you consider that Just Dance 2023 edition, Trackmania, Skull and Bones, and the Avatar game are all on their way. And when taking all of that into consideration, is this the death of Stadia? Obviously not. The fact remains that as of right now, only one title is confirmed not to be coming to Stadia. And it appears that every other game that's developed by Ubisoft will be making its way over to the platform. But it of course does pose the question whether or not anything past Mirage will now be making its way to Stadia as well. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that this doesn't affect Stadia whatsoever. I think that's a blatant lie. At the end of the day, as a consumer, I used to feel assured that pretty much every Ubisoft title would be coming to Stadia, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. But at the very same time, the lack of one Ubisoft title does not spell the end of support from Ubisoft. Sadly, this is just going to lead to more of the same that I think a lot of Stadia users have been feeling, and that's just uncertainty. Not long ago, a lot of the Stadia community was super hyped up about Dead Island 2 being confirmed for the platform. And I know a lot of people right now are super hyped up to play FIFA 23 this year. But suddenly, the Mirage news has got everyone extremely down and already talking about the death of Stadia once again. And while I do think that's a hyperbolic statement to make, I don't think it's unjust for people to be discussing it either. And just to be clear, I'm always talking from the viewpoint of a customer who just likes to buy and play these games. It makes me wonder if future Assassin's Creed titles will also be absent, whether or not Ubisoft will continue to support it with every major release, or if they'll just pick and choose what they think will work best for Stadia. But more importantly than that, it makes me question whether I want to continue investing my money into Stadia as a platform, or if I should just buy a current generation console or move over to a different cloud gaming service or platform. Once again, I don't think Stadia is dying or dead. They have more than enough games slated for 2023 and possibly beyond that are still arriving to Stadia. But the lack of Assassin's Creed just is more uncertainty, and I don't think that's up to third-party publishers to really make me feel more comfortable about. We all know by now that Google likes to just drop release info for games sometimes 2 to 3 weeks before a game launches. Look at the Saints Row reboot for an example of this. And because of the way they do that, some people are still hopeful that Mirage may still find its way over to Stadia. And I'd hate to admit this, but it's a complete possibility based on previous examples that we've already had with Stadia. I know some people see this as a good thing, but I really don't think it is. The longer you have me questioning whether or not a game is going to be arriving to play on your platform, the longer you're giving me to have reason to pick it up somewhere else or play anywhere else. At the end of the day, no, I don't think the lack of Assassin's Creed Mirage spells the death of Google Stadia. There are still a ton of Ubisoft titles making their way over. But I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like it doesn't affect Stadia whatsoever, because I think that's also very much so not true. Now, I know that I can sit here and theorize why this may be happening, but at the end of the day, it's pure conjecture, and more than likely it comes down to a contractual issue. And it's more than likely that as consumers, we're never going to actually hear why this has happened. The only way we'd ever find out is if it actually got leaked online or happened through some sort of investor's call. I know some people online are theorizing that Amazon paid the big bucks to keep it exclusive, but I still don't think that makes much sense. They don't seem to be in a position to really take advantage of an exclusivity deal, with Amazon Luna only being available in the United States still, and it would be a very weird move for a company that's already launched games on other services like GeForce Now to suddenly care about exclusivity about a game they don't even make themselves. New World and Lost Ark were massive names when they launched. New World kind of fell off, but Lost Ark is still pulling some pretty great numbers. You would think if they cared about boosting their cloud numbers, they would have brought those games over to Luna exclusively, but they didn't. In fact, neither title is available on Amazon Luna right now. And last but not least, if they would have paid for exclusivity, I'm sure we would have heard about it directly from Team Amazon. Nobody pays for an exclusive partnership to just not shout about it online. Think about any other third-party deal where somebody's worked with Sony, and always remember that Sony's typically the one to announce that game is only coming to PlayStation and maybe PC. You simply don't pay the big bucks to be quiet about it. Like I said, this more than likely has to do with some sort of contract between Google and Ubisoft, and we don't really know what it is or how it'll play out. You just have to wait and see. Now, when it comes to Mirage being on GeForce Now, I know that statement makes it seem like it may not be there, but I don't actually think that'll be the case. GeForce Now works by being essentially a PC, and Assassin's Creed Mirage will exist on PC and will exist on Ubisoft Connect. So that means that Assassin's Creed Mirage will have a version that's gonna be playable via GeForce Now. I think in this scenario, Ubisoft doesn't see GeForce Now as a cloud gaming service. And that line of thought really makes sense when you consider the fact that the streaming tier of Ubisoft Plus isn't necessary to play on GeForce Now. You only need the PC version of Ubisoft Plus to enjoy all the games via GFN. And when it comes to games actually releasing on respective platforms, it's important to point out that games don't technically release on GeForce Now, they're just supported by it. It's the PC release of Assassin's Creed Mirage that would be supported by GeForce Now. It's not like the game has its own specific version only for GeForce Now. But like always with this sort of speculation, it's important to wait for Ubisoft or Nvidia's confirmation of the title being supported. But at the end of the day, I gotta admit, Assassin's Creed Mirage has been quite the interesting topic to discuss, because I didn't think it would make this big of a splash in the news. Either way, let me know what you think. How does this affect you in the cloud gaming space, be it whether you play on Stadia, Luna, or GFN? And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button, as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. If you haven't already, be sure to join our community Discord, links in the description below. As always, thank you for watching, I hope you have a great day. This has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.